People who are unsure about you will make you unsure about yourself. Now, this video might get emotional, not in like a emotional way, but like a emotionally like driven video. But it is because I understand what it's like to be there. And I understand where a lot of you guys are in the gray area of waiting, of not being sure whether you should move on from a person or wait for them. And I know exactly what it's like to be there because I remember going through it in my past. And I remember all the feelings, all the emotion, all the anxiety, all the waiting, all the uncertainty that I felt in that moment. And so my hope for this video is to not only save you and to get you to finally make a decision for yourself, but to also never be somebody's settling option again in your life. Now, many of you are dealing with people who are unwilling to commit. They might be sending mixed signals, but then they're saying another thing as if, oh, I'm not ready for a relationship. Oh, I'm unsure. I'm this, I'm that. They're throwing whatever excuses out there as to why, y'all don't have a clear direction. Maybe you don't know if it's over. You don't know if it's something you want to invest yourself into. You don't know if you need to be doing more. You don't know what's going wrong, what's going through their head. And you have to realize that people's uncertainty about you, people's mixed signals, people's not being certain about which direction they want to go, all that does is leave you confused about yourself, because it leaves you questioning, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do more of? Oh, things were seemingly heading in this direction, then all of a sudden things stopped. And it just leaves you so confused. And I remember for myself, I was in a position where I was questioning like how it was so easy for them to just be able to move on. I was questioning like what I needed to do differently, what changes I needed to make with them myself, overthinking past conversations, holding on to regret. And I remember this like 2 years ago, like I was literally like constantly every day overthinking, constantly checking my phone, constantly like thinking about like, when is this all gonna have certainty, clarity? And I'll be the first person to tell you, like, for certain situations, I never got that clarity. There was never a response. There was never a reach out, and I had to take that initiative. And I disrespected myself doing that. And there was some people where I literally just never knew when things were gonna fix themselves. And I literally had to either give myself that closure or eventually they finally reached out, and it just didn't turn into nothing. But my point is that a lot of people's uncertainty about you is going to make you feel like you're the problem. It's going to make you feel like, oh, I must not be enough. I must not be doing enough. I must have done something wrong. I need to have all these conversations. I need clarity. I don't know what you're overthinking. I don't know what's going through your head. And it puts you in a position where you're in this gray area of you don't know what to do. You feel helpless. You don't know whether you need to let this person go, but then you don't want to let this person go because you saw a glimpse of hope and potential, and you're hoping things will just work themselves out. They might have even given you words. They might have told you, oh, we're going to work it out, or, oh, I just need some time. And then you're holding on to that with everything you possibly have. You're holding on to those words with everything you possibly have. And again, it puts you in this situation where you have all this anxiety, you have all this uncertainty, you have no idea what to do because you're just in a season of waiting blindly, and quietness leads you to trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And again, I know exactly what it's like to be there. But then you also can't just hold on and just, pursue that relationship or whatever, because then it might look like begging, because the other person's like, oh, I need space, or I need this, I'm unsure, I need this time, I'll let you know, whatever. Like, they're uncertain about you. And so there's no clear direction of, oh, we're headed in this way or we're heading in that way. It's just I have to sit here and wait. And that wait oftentimes, again, makes us feel like we did something wrong. All it does is make you overthink about where did things take a turn. Things seem to be on the right track, but then all of a sudden things fell off. And it's like, you might be sitting here blaming yourself for something that was never even your responsibility or was never even the problem in the first place, solely because of that silence and maybe that lack of communication. And what I've had to realize is that oftentimes people's uncertainty about you has quite literally nothing to do with you. People, we all have our own stories. We all have our own fears, our own discomforts, our own traumas, our own things that, we find resistance in. And sometimes for people that is commitment. Sometimes for people that is communication. Sometimes for people, they literally have no idea what they want for themselves. They're worried about the worst possible scenario. They're worried about how other people are going to receive it. They're worried about getting it perfect. And it's like some people get so caught up in their own minds and their own overthinking to the point that they have no idea what to do. All they know to do is to run away. All they do know how to do is shelter up and to not communicate and to, avoid the conflict and hope things just pass over and not make a decision, and it leaves them indecisive. It's like dealing with somebody where you ask them what they want to eat and they just constantly say, I don't know. And you're recommending all these different places. Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Do we need to do this? Do we need to talk about this? Are you in the mood for this? And they sit there and they're like, I don't know. And it's really like dealing with that type of person. But when it comes to a relationship, friendship, or just whether they want you in their life or not. And again, I know exactly what it's like to be there because I've been there before. Questioning myself, doubting myself, unsure what the hell to do. Not wanting to make it seem like I was begging, but also wanting to respect myself, but then my emotions and feelings want me to reach out or want me to hold on to this person, want me to see it through because I was comfortable or they were familiar or, they gave me their word and I want to trust their word. And it's like we hold on to all these different things. And again, in the end, we're the only ones who end up suffering. We have no idea what's going on through that person's mind. We have no idea whether they talking to other people, whether they really could care less about us and they living their life perfectly fine. And they just said what we wanted to hear and just left us in a place of quite literally never having any intention to get back to us. But they said what we wanted to hear in that moment. And then we held on to those words with all the hope that we had, or all the love that we had for that person, or all the care, or all the expectation we had around that situation, the potential that we saw in it, and where we thought things were going. And over the years, as I've experienced this with a couple different people, I've had to, one, just understand like certain things are out of my control. If people do not have the maturity, if they don't have the emotional awareness, if they don't have the emotional maturity, if they don't, have the emotional capacity to communicate, to be a person of their words, to simply be honest with you, to tell you what you're doing wrong, what's going through their mind, what they're fearful of, what next steps they want to take, whatever, then you have to question, or then you have to make sure that you don't make it about yourself. Because again, I've had to learn that it often has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. And I had to make sure I stopped blaming myself for things that were never even my responsibility. I had to stop blaming myself for doing in that moment what I felt was best for me. I had to stop blaming myself for not being the perfect person for this person, for not being the right person for this person. And instead just being my authentic self and, caring in the way that I wanted to care. Like, I remember at a point in time, I used to not want to care. I used to, want to get in relationships, and my ego and my pride would block me from showing how I really felt, solely because I didn't want to feel like I was overdoing. And it was like, I don't never want to be with a person. I never want to be in a relationship or friendship with anybody where I can't show them that I care about them, where I can't show them that I value them. And so I had to learn to step into relationships and just be me. And whether they receive it as, me being needy, whether they receive it as, however they might interpret it, however they might receive it, I can't make myself responsible or regretful for that because they didn't know how to handle it or they were uncertain. I could just only accept that I showed up as myself. I did what I felt was best for me, and I can only do what I felt was best for me in that moment. But I've learned that I also don't like dealing with people who are unsure about me, because that means they quite literally don't know if they want me or not. They don't know if they want my personality. They don't know if they value me. They don't know if they care enough about me to want to figure something out. And so sometimes you got to really sit there and question yourself of like, do I care to be with this person? Do I care to have this person around who is unsure about me? Because it gives me the impression that you're quite literally weighing the pros and cons of whether you want me in your life or not, whether you see me as enough to be in your life. I don't want to be in a situation where I feel like you're settling or you had to bargain with yourself or convince yourself why I was somebody worth having in your life. I want you to feel that. I want you to know that for yourself. I want you to know why you want me in your life. I want you to value me because you value me, not because I learned how to people please you or I constantly met your expectations or your standards or whatever. And so when it comes to making certain decisions like, oh, do I want this person in my life? Oh, do I want to communicate with this person? Do I want to fight for this relationship or this friendship or whatever? It's like, I feel like sometimes those things have to be clear as day from the value that they see within you and the impact that you've had on them. And so if they have to question that impact, if they have to question your value, if they have to question your personality and whether they want you around, it's like, if you're unsure about that, then it would make me feel like I gotta walk on eggshells. It would make me feel like I gotta constantly be the right person. It would make me feel like I gotta constantly meet your expectations or your standards, or always keep you comfortable, always keep you at peace, and that the moment things go off track, you're questioning and doubting everything. And so I just want you to be cautious of, when you're dealing with these type of people, of allowing and putting your life on pause because of their uncertainty about you. Don't let other people's uncertainty about you make you lose your certainty about yourself. Don't let that dictate whether you're enough. Don't let that make you question whether you're lovable. Don't let that make you question if you did something wrong, if you need to do more. Sometimes all you need to do is remain you and understand that you is not for everybody, and that everybody will not see the value in that person that you are. And so sometimes you have to also develop the courage to not allow yourself to be in that season. Sometimes you got to make a decision for yourself of, I'm going to walk away from this situation, solely because you respect and love yourself too much to allow yourself to be in that gray area. Now, if this person decides to rekindle things, or this person decides to reach out and be a person of their words, whether they needed that space, whether they were uncertain, I would question, like, you maybe just have to make a choice. Do you want to deal with somebody who could possibly be wishy-washy? Maybe sometimes people do really need space, and maybe sometimes they really do need some time to get clarity on some things and whether they want to, go through with it. But I feel like a lot of the times people are just like, they're either looking for better. They might just be unsure about themselves, and again, their own fears and their own insecurities. Or some people just aren't sure if they want you around, and they're literally trying to determine, do I want to settle here, and is this good enough for me? And it's like, you never want to be the last thing. I always hope that it's one of the first two, where it's genuine and people genuinely do just need a little bit of time and space. I genuinely hope that it's not the third thing, where people are unsure about you and they have to, again, weigh your pros and cons, determine whether they really like your personality or not, determine if they really value you or not, determine if they really want to commit to you or not, because then it's like you're on a thin line. It's like for a sport, like, you were the last person to get picked in dodgeball. You were the last person to get picked in soccer. It's like, did you really want me, or did you just pick me because that was kind of the only option you had, or you just kind of had to go with the best thing that was available, kind of thing. And so I just hope for you that you don't allow yourself to be in that season where you're allowing other people to be unsure about you, and it makes you unsure about yourself. Because sometimes, I know for myself, I had to make a decision. I'm just going to move on without the expectation of them being in my life or things turning out how maybe I would have hoped for things to turn out. And just kind of going in my own direction of letting go, of moving on. And just moving with that energy of, where they come back around, it's like, I thought we was done type thing. Or I was just moving forward with the expectation that things were over because, you kind of need that space or whatever. But that's just me. I don't want you guys to take my situations and my experiences and automatically make them your own. But, I just know exactly what it's like to be in a position where, again, people are unsure about you, and it makes you unsure about yourself, and it brings all this emotions, it brings all this anxiety, solely because you're holding on to the hope that people will come back around like they said they would. And unfortunately, not everybody is going to be a person of their word, and unfortunately, some people just are trying to create some space, are trying to create some distance to let you off the hook without directly telling you they're letting you off the hook. And I just don't want a lot of you guys to be in a position where you put your life on pause, and you might be thinking, they'll come back around, or things will work themselves out, and you're holding on to that hope for months. And you've now missed out on building new relationships. You've now missed out on building a better relationship with yourself. You've now missed out on different opportunities solely because you were waiting around for a person who they gave you a little bit of hope or some words that you could grab onto, but they weren't really ever actually about it. And, you just caused yourself to suffer throughout the months waiting for somebody that never had the intention of coming back around. Because I've been learning for myself that you want people around you who are sure about you. You want people around you who experience your love, who experience your kindness, who experience your personality, your sense of humor, just who you are as a person. Not the person you learn how to perform as, but the real you. And they're sure about you. Just how you guys come on and watch my videos, you're sure you want to watch this video. You stuck around to this point in this video because you're sure that Will got something of value to give. But when you're dealing with people who are unsure about you and they're wishy-washy, I don't really know if I want to watch that. I don't really know if I want to eat that. I don't really know if I want you in my life or not. Then it's like, you don't really value me. And it's like, I don't want those type of people around me where they're on the edge, where things could change in the slightest moment. And the moment that things get rocky, the moment that, we might got to communicate, it's that easy for them to walk away because they weren't even that pressed for me in the beginning, or they didn't really care that much in the beginning, and they were on the fence in the beginning. And so I just want you to kind of think on that and how that applies to your life. Ask yourself, do you want people who are certain about you? You should want people who are certain about you. You should want people who see your personality, who see your value, and they choose you. And they know they want you around. They know they want to fight for you. They know they want to communicate with you. They know they want to work through things with you because they see the value in you and the importance that you hold to their life. Not the people who are kind of just settling and picking you because, again, you're available or you're there or, something that they could cling on to. But, I love and appreciate you guys as always. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, as well as check out the Let and Go to Grow journal down below in the description and my one-on-one coaching program. But other than that, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.